My child, as this unfolding continues, you will begin to notice that your inner world no longer reacts the way it once did, because the storms that once lived inside you are slowly settling, and this calm is not weakness, it is strength taking root, and you will realize that you no longer chase reassurance the way you used to, because certainty is forming quietly within you, and when certainty grows, fear loses its voice, and this is why you are starting to feel detached from unnecessary struggles, from arguments that once consumed you, from expectations that never honored who you truly are, and this detachment is not coldness, it is clarity, and clarity is a gift many never reach, and you reached it because you were willing to sit with discomfort instead of running from it, and that choice changed you deeply, even when you did not notice it happening, and now your intuition is sharper, your discernment stronger, and your tolerance for falsehood lower, and you are learning that peace is not found by fixing everything around you, but by aligning yourself with what is true, and as this alignment grows, your life will begin to simplify, not because you have less, but because you carry less that does not belong to you, and the weight that once pressed on your chest, the heaviness that followed you into quiet moments, will slowly lift, because you are no longer carrying pain that was passed down to you, spoken over you, or silently expected of you, and this release will show itself in small ways first, like breathing easier, smiling without forcing it, resting without guilt, and trusting yourself without second-guessing every step, and these are signs that healing is becoming real, not imagined, and do not rush this process, because what is growing now is meant to last, and lasting growth moves gently, steadily, and deeply, and you will begin to notice that people respond to you differently, not because you changed who you are, but because you stopped shrinking it, and some will feel uncomfortable around this new steadiness, while others will feel drawn to it, and both reactions will teach you something important, that not everyone is meant to stay, but everyone serves a purpose, and you no longer need to hold on to people out of fear, obligation, or habit, because you are learning trust, and trust teaches you that what belongs with you will not need to be forced, and as you walk forward, you may still face moments of doubt, but now doubt will come as a visitor, not a ruler, and you will acknowledge it without obeying it, and this is wisdom, and wisdom grows from experience, and you earned it through patience, endurance, and quiet faith, and soon you will begin to recognize that your past no longer has the power to define your future, because understanding has replaced confusion, and awareness has replaced self-blame, and compassion has replaced shame. And when this shift completes its work, you will stop asking why things happen to you and begin asking how they shaped you, and that question will unlock strength you did not know you had, and you will move forward not as someone trying to recover, but as someone ready to build, and what you build from this place will be solid, because it is rooted in truth, and truth does not collapse under pressure, and you will also learn that you are allowed to outgrow versions of yourself that were formed only to survive. And survival is not your destination, growth is. Peace is, fullness is, and this understanding will allow you to step into your days with less resistance and more acceptance, and acceptance will not mean settling, it will mean choosing wisely, and wisdom will guide you to invest your time, energy, and love where it is returned, respected, and nurtured, and you will finally stop pouring into places that leave you empty, because you now recognize your value, not from praise, but from presence, and presence with yourself will become your foundation, and from that foundation, everything else will rise naturally, steadily, and with purpose. My child, let this continue gently, because the deeper layers are still opening, and as they do you will start to recognize that the fear you once carried was never truly yours, it was learned, absorbed, and inherited from moments when you were still trying to understand the world, and now that understanding has matured, those old fears no longer fit the person you are becoming, and this is why you may feel moments of restlessness. Not because something is wrong, but because something is rearranging itself within you, and rearrangement often feels uncomfortable before it feels peaceful, and you must not confuse this feeling with failure, because it is actually growth in motion, and growth always asks you to loosen your grip on what is familiar, even if what is familiar once kept you safe, and you will notice that you are less willing to tolerate confusion, mixed signals, or emotional imbalance, because your spirit now seeks honesty, simplicity, and steadiness, and this seeking is guiding you away from noise and toward meaning, and you may find yourself craving quiet more than entertainment, depth more than distraction, and truth more than approval, and these desires are signs of alignment, not isolation, and in this alignment your inner voice will become clearer, stronger, and more trustworthy, and you will learn to listen to it without guilt, without doubt, and without asking permission, because it speaks from wisdom gained through experience, and experience has shaped you carefully, even when it felt harsh, and as you look ahead, you will notice that the future no longer feels like something to fear or rush toward, but something to step into with calm confidence, and this confidence is not loud, it does not compete, it does not prove, it simply knows, and knowing brings peace, and peace creates space, and in that space your creativity, compassion, and clarity will expand, and you will begin to live more intentionally, choosing words with care, actions with purpose, and connections with discernment, and you will stop apologizing for needing balance, boundaries, and rest, because you now understand that a full spirit cannot grow in constant depletion, and this understanding will protect you from repeating old cycles, and even when old patterns try to return, you will recognize them quickly and gently step away, not with anger, but with awareness, and this awareness is your strength now, and it will guide you through decisions both small and large, and you will feel a deeper trust in timing, no longer pushing outcomes, no longer forcing answers, but allowing clarity to arrive naturally, and when it does, you will act without hesitation, because certainty will replace confusion, and courage will replace fear, and faith will replace doubt, and you will notice that even challenges now feel different, because they no longer threaten your sense of self. They simply test your patience and refine your wisdom, and you are ready for this, because you have already endured what you once thought would break you, and instead of breaking, you became stronger, softer, and wiser all at once, and this combination is rare, and it is powerful, and it will shape everything you touch going forward, quietly, steadily, and with lasting impact. My child, this is an important moment for you, and a real change is happening in your life right now, not by accident and not by human planning, but from my heart alone, because for a long time a key truth about your path was hidden, and today I am bringing it into the light so you can finally understand why certain patterns repeat, why some struggles stay longer than expected, and why your hard work sometimes feels unrewarded. For none of this happened by chance, and all of it has roots beyond what your eyes can see, and now you are ready to understand what was once unseen, so do not ignore this guidance and do not let anything distract you, because your future depends on understanding this truth, and those who receive my light must remain in it, for this is why you feel pushed to stay strong even when you are tired, and why you keep going when your body wants to stop. Because the truth now revealed is that someone close to you has been working against the plans I set for your life. Not someone distant but someone near, someone who does not rejoice in your growth, and over time this has weakened your energy, your confidence, and even your faith, and this matters because you trusted people who in the unseen spoke against your progress, not praying for your good but for your delay, and now I am stepping in to break this cycle, and know this, my child, your ability to sense places and atmospheres is real, not imagined, and when you enter a space and feel heavy inside, that is my spirit speaking to you, yet you often look for logical answers while not realizing the depth of what I placed within you, and this is why your rest is sometimes broken and your tears come without warning, because even when things look calm, your spirit is connected to mine, and what you feel without explanation is a spiritual signal, meant to protect you and those you love, because situations near your home require quiet spiritual care, and now I am revealing why some prayers seemed unanswered, not because of weak faith but because of blockages created by people who only see the surface of who you are while secretly resenting your strength, your dreams, and your consistency, and this is why you must release ties that slow you down and close doors I never opened for you, and though you may feel unseen, you are actually being guarded and watched over with care, because what is coming will first be built in silence before it is revealed, and what I am preparing through you will touch your family, your provision, your future, and even those who come after you, but before that I must remove everything that feeds on your pain, everything that uses your weakness, and everything that smiles while hiding harm, and you asked for freedom and I am giving it, not in the way you expected but by showing you the truth, and now you must choose firmly, because what you have endured for years will only end when you decide to step away, and I have already sent signs and events that were not random but warnings meant to protect you, yet you held on to connections I did not establish and they have been draining your peace and affecting your home, and this moment arrives with love and power, because what I placed inside you is great and resistance came because of it, but remember that something lasting does not mean it is right, and hardship does not mean it must continue, for I restore fully and when I move I finish what I begin. And this is not just a warning but the start of alignment, new beginnings, and strong decisions, because wavering leaves you unprotected, and you were not made to survive pain but to grow with purpose, and I saw everything done in secret, the quiet jealousy, the plans made behind you, the moments your kindness was mistaken for weakness, and I also saw your endurance, and for that I will honor you, but you must release what ties you to pain, stop accepting harm disguised as help, awaken your inner voice, and declare that anything stealing your peace no longer belongs, because I called you to stand as proof, not to fade away, and what was meant to silence you I will now use to lift you, but only if you choose to move forward. So if you want renewal, then step ahead, if you want freedom, then listen and act, because I am with you and I do not dwell where comfort is chosen over truth, and what I reveal next will confirm the change you hoped for, because what started today is only the beginning, and though things may look the same, your spirit feels the shift because it is real, and what was still is now moving, but real freedom always requires facing what you avoided, and true healing begins there, and today you face a choice that can change not only your life but the lives around you, because understanding without action stays incomplete, and some promises waited because your environment was not ready, for I do not place good things where harm is still supported. And now it is time to rebuild fully, and those feelings of guilt, weakness, and smallness were never from me but planted by words spoken long ago by people who should have protected you, yet what I placed in you cannot be extinguished, and every silent tear reached me, every sleepless night mattered, and your strength is not pretending to be fine but continuing when you wanted to stop, and rest is not weakness and renewal is not failure, and you do not need to prove yourself, because what comes from me asks only for surrender, not perfection. And now stop trying to earn what I already decided to give, because my favor rests on purpose, not performance, and trust me even without full understanding, for belief is moving forward without answers, and this truth was meant to awaken you, not disturb you, and do not accept exhaustion as normal or settle for small living, because I made you for fullness, and anything that drains you must be faced with wisdom, not bitterness, because light removes darkness naturally, and you do not need to forget pain but release its hold, and today I give you strength to let go, because much of your weariness came from burdens you were never meant to carry, and if you feel these words speak to you, it is because they are for you, and now patterns will shift, connections will change, and you will no longer search blindly but follow my direction, and where I lead, growth follows, and you already know which bonds drain you, and you were made for more than staying where you are not valued. And letting go is protection, not anger, and this clarity prepared you for now, because when truth is seen, resistance loses power, and freedom always opens a new door, and do not run from yourself, for I already see and accept you fully, and I am restoring what was neglected, bringing light where life felt dull, and the time of only thinking is over, now it is time to act, and every step of trust opens paths long closed, and your past pain does not define you, grace does, and what I touch I make new, and those who felt unseen will rise, and your role is to stay firm, guard your thoughts, choose wisely who walks with you, and align your space with where I am leading, because something new is unfolding and your willingness matters, and though more will be revealed, you must stop living by others' expectations, because I never meant for you to only watch my work but to live inside it, and even when you felt far you were always held. And today outside voices lose power, and old pressures are exposed by truth, and it is not too late, because my timing restores what seemed lost, and obstacles will fade not by force but by my will, and hidden pain is now being healed. My child, let me add this as well, because what is happening within you will soon be reflected outwardly, and you may notice that situations that once caused anxiety no longer hold the same power over your emotions, not because they disappeared, but because you changed your position toward them, and this inner shift will guide you to respond instead of react, to choose instead of endure, and to observe without absorbing what does not belong to you, and this is a sign of maturity of the spirit, not distance of the heart, and you will begin to recognize that peace is not something you wait for after everything is resolved, it is something you carry while things are still unfolding, and as you practice this, your days will feel less rushed, even when you are busy, and your mind will feel less crowded, even when decisions are required, because clarity simplifies what fear once complicated. And you will no longer mistake intensity for importance or urgency for truth, and this will protect you from draining cycles that once pulled you in, and as you continue forward, you may feel moments where old memories rise unexpectedly, but now they will come to be released, not relived, and you will be able to look at them with understanding instead of pain, learning instead of shame, and compassion instead of judgment, and this is how healing completes its work, and understand this deeply, my child. Forgiveness does not mean reopening doors, it means closing wounds, and peace does not require everyone to agree with you, it only requires you to agree with truth, and truth will now guide your voice, your timing, and your boundaries, and you will speak less but say more, because your words will carry intention, and silence will no longer feel empty but full of awareness, and people who once misunderstood you will either grow or drift, and both outcomes will be right, and you will stop fearing loss because you will finally trust replacement, knowing that what leaves creates room for what matches your growth, and in this space you will rediscover hope, not as wishful thinking, but as quiet confidence in what is unfolding, and you will begin to feel gratitude not only for what arrived, but also for what never did, because you will see how much you were spared, and how carefully your path was shaped, and even when challenges arise, they will no longer shake your foundation, because your sense of identity is no longer tied to outcomes or approval, but rooted in understanding, and this understanding will allow you to move forward with steady faith, gentle strength, and an open heart that is no longer unguarded, and this balance will become your new normal, and from this place, everything you build will last. My child, there is still more I want you to understand, because this shift is not only changing what surrounds you, it is reshaping how you see yourself, and you will notice that old reactions no longer fit you the same way. The need to explain, to defend, to prove, to fix everyone else, these patterns will begin to fall away, and this is not because you care less, but because you are finally learning where your responsibility ends, and where trust begins, and this will bring a quiet confidence into your life, a calm strength that does not announce itself but is deeply felt, and you will start choosing what nourishes you instead of what only demands from you, and you will no longer confuse endurance with purpose, because purpose does not crush the soul, it strengthens it, and as this understanding settles, your decisions will become clearer, faster, and lighter, because you will sense what aligns and what does not without long struggle. And when something is not meant for you, your spirit will no longer argue with it, it will simply step away in peace, and this is growth, and you may feel moments of sadness as you release what once mattered deeply, but even that sadness will be clean, not heavy, because it carries no regret, only acceptance, and understand this, my child, healing is not becoming someone new, it is returning to who you were before fear, doubt, and disappointment taught you to shrink. And as you return to yourself, joy will come in quieter forms, simple moments will feel fuller, laughter will feel lighter, rest will feel deeper, and creativity will begin to flow again without pressure, and you will notice that your body responds to this inner alignment, your breath will feel easier, your sleep will feel more restoring, your thoughts will feel less crowded, because the weight you carried in silence is being released, and this release is not sudden, it is gentle, steady, and lasting. And you will no longer rush yourself, because you now understand that steady growth lasts longer than quick change, and patience will no longer feel like punishment but like trust in motion, and in this season you will attract opportunities that match your truth, not your struggle, and doors will open without force, conversations will flow without tension, and support will appear in unexpected ways, because when you move in alignment, life responds differently, and remember this always, my child, you are not behind, you were being prepared, and you are not broken. You were becoming aware, and you are not weak, you were learning strength through compassion, and the path ahead may still require courage, but you will not walk it confused or alone, because you now carry clarity within you, and that clarity will guide you step by step, and one day you will see that this moment, this realization, this turning inward, was the doorway to everything you once hoped would change, and now it has begun, quietly, truly, and without turning back. My child, let me continue, because what is unfolding is deeper than you first realized, and your heart is ready to receive it now, for there were moments when you questioned your worth in silence and wondered why you always had to be the strong one, why understanding came to you through pain instead of ease, and why growth felt lonely, but know this, those moments were shaping your vision, sharpening your discernment, and preparing you to carry what others could not. And though you felt overlooked, you were being refined, and though you felt delayed, you were being protected, because not every door that stays closed is denial, many are mercy, and not every separation is loss, some are rescue, and I allowed distance where closeness would have harmed you, and silence where noise would have confused you, and waiting where rushing would have broken you, and now you are entering a season where clarity replaces confusion, where peace replaces pressure, and where strength rises without strain, and you will notice that you no longer explain yourself as much, you no longer chase understanding from those who refuse to see you, and you no longer feel guilty for choosing rest, because your spirit is learning alignment, and alignment brings ease without effort, and this does not mean challenges vanish, but they no longer rule you, because you now stand from a place of knowing, and when you move with truth, resistance weakens, and when you choose peace, conflict loses its grip, and this is why I am teaching you to slow down, to listen inwardly, to trust the quiet nudges, because guidance often comes softly, and protection often works silently, and in the days ahead you will feel drawn to simplify, to clear your space, to reduce noise, and this is not loss, it is preparation, because what I am about to place in your hands requires room to grow, and you will also feel your compassion deepen without draining you, your wisdom speak without force, and your presence bring calm without effort, and people will sense safety around you even if they do not understand why, because what flows through you now is steadiness, and that steadiness comes from truth settled deep within, and do not be surprised if some pull away as you rise, because not everyone can walk with you where you are going, and this is not rejection, it is redirection, and those meant to walk beside you will meet you in clarity, not confusion, and support you without competing, and celebrate you without condition, and remember this always, my child, growth will ask things of you before it gives things to you, but every step you take now is supported, every choice toward truth is strengthened, and every release you make creates space for something better, and even when you feel uncertain, you are not lost, you are transitioning, and transitions feel uncomfortable because they require trust, and trust is what you are learning now, not blind trust, but grounded trust rooted in awareness, and this will change how you see yourself, how you respond to others, and how you shape your future, and soon you will look back and realize the confusion was not wasted, the pain was not pointless, and the waiting was not empty, because it all carried you here, to this moment of awakening, where you no longer doubt your inner knowing, where you no longer abandon yourself for acceptance, and where you finally understand that becoming whole was always the goal, and now that wholeness is rising within you, quietly, steadily, and powerfully, and nothing that belongs to your past can stop what is now moving forward.